Hi, this is Miss Gambino, and I'm going to show you how to make the pegboard from Activity 1.5.5 pegboard toy. This piece is a little bit more difficult than the first two pieces that you created, and the reason it's more difficult is because you have to figure out some measurements. But you have a calculator on your computer, so that will help you out. The first thing I like to do is to create a new part file, and I'm going to choose English and Standard Inch .ipt. Do you remember what .ipt stands for? That's right, it's a part file. So I'm going to create a single part, and that's going to be my pegboard. Now the first thing I want to do is create a sketch plane that I can create the front of my shape on. So I'm going to click 2D sketch, and I'm going to choose my front face. And I'm looking at my pegboard toy. The front face is the face that's to the left. And if I look at my measurements, it says create a pegboard part 3/4 inches in height, 5 3/4 inches in width, and 3 inches in depth. The side that I'm seeing is the long side at the front, so I'm going to create a rectangle that's 5 3/4 in length and 3/4 inches tall. So I'm going to choose the 2-point rectangle, and I'm just going to create a random shape. It doesn't really matter what your dimension is at this time because we have this nifty dimension tool. And I'm going to click on the line, drag it out and click, and I'm going to make it 5.75. That would be 5 3/4. And you could either click the green check mark or hit enter. And then if this gets too big for you to see, you can always hit the home button, and you see my shape is looking almost like the shape that I want. I still have my dimension tool highlighted, and I can tell because it's blue. So that's the chosen tool. I'm going to click click on this edge, and I'm going to make that 3/4 inches or 0.75. Okay, so there's the front face of my design. Now I need to extrude it backwards 3 inches. So the first thing I need to do is finish my sketch, and then I'm going to choose this extrude button, and I'm actually going to change the direction of it with these 4 choices. You can change the direction of which way your shape is extruding. I'm going to go backwards to 3 inches. And look at that. It looks almost like my pegboard, except for it's missing the circle hole and the square hole. Now this is the tricky part, because if you take a look at your picture, it doesn't really tell you where to put the holes. But if you look at it, they're exactly 1/3 of the way over the pegboard. So what do you think? Where do we put the holes? The first thing that I want to do is create a sketch that will hold those shapes. So I'm going to create 2D sketch, and I'm going to sketch on the front part of my design. Now I need to do a couple things to figure out where to put the circle and where to put the square. So one of the most logical things I think to do would be to split this into, actually split it in half. So there's a couple different ways you can do this. One of my favorite ways is to draw just a guideline that you don't really need, but it'll help you determine like where your halfway point is. See where my cursor lights up green? That's the halfway point. So I'm going to click there, and then I'm going to draw a line all the way down just so I can see where my line is. Okay, so now there's my line, but I don't really want that to be part of my design. So I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to make that a construction line. So now that's not part of my design. I could do it on this one also up here, but it doesn't really matter because it kind of blends in with everything else. Now I want to put my circle right in the middle of this space, and I want to put my square right in the middle of this space. So how do I drew this line up here for that reason, because now I could tell what the center of this line is, but now I want to be able to tell what the center of this line is. So I'm going to click my circle tool and watch this. This is like magic. See, when I get close to the center, right on the center, you see this little guideline that helps you position your item, and this means that this is right in the center of this line. So you want to find that cross area where you have the center point of where your circle should be. And I'm going to click, drag out, and I'm going to look at my pegboard design. It doesn't tell me what the dimension of the circle should be. What should the diameter of the circle be? Well, if I think back to the part that I created, the circle peg, my circle peg was 1 inch, and I want that peg to fit here, so I'm going to make this 1 inch too. Okay, and there's my circle peg. Now the square is a little bit more difficult because I have to find first the center point of this line, but then I have a 1-inch square. So if I have the center point of that, what does that mean for my square? It's going to go out 1 inch this way, 1 inch this way, 1 inch, no, sorry, a 1/2 inch out this way and a 1/2 inch out this way, 1/2 inch down and a 1/2 inch up. And you'll see what I mean in a second. So I'm going to create another guideline. I'm going to go from the center here and all the way over here because I need to be able to tell what the center point of that line is. There are probably a couple different ways you could do this. This is one of probably the harder ways. So I'm going to click that center point and I'm going to go all the way down. Make sure that your line is straight, which means it's a 90-degree angle. I'm going to click there. And now I have a center point for this line also. However, I don't want this blue line to be part of my design. So I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to make it a construction line. And that's not working so well. Alright, so I'm just going to leave it for now and I could delete it later. And I'm just going to pause for a second here because my cat is sitting on my laptop bag being bad. And he's going to fall off the table. Hold on a second. I wish I could show you a picture of this. In fact, I think I will try to post one somewhere. Okay, so in order to put my square right in the middle of this, I'm going to use my line tool. I know we're trying to make a square, but I'm going to use my line tool because I want my dimensions to be correct first. So I'm going to set this up to be 0.5 going out this way, and then I'm going to hit escape to get out of that tool, and I'm going to click it again. And I'm going to hit 0.5 going out this way to the left. Notice that's like a little bit off. That didn't start at the right place, so I'm just going to move it over. Is that right? I'm not sure that's right, so I'm just going to delete it. I right clicked on it and I'm going to delete it and I'm going to make it again to make sure it's perfect. This is a precision measurement activity. So I'm going to hit 0.5 over here. Okay, that's better. And then I'm going to delete this line because I don't really need that anymore. And I am going to go 0.5 up. Just make sure your lines stay straight. And then I'm going to hit escape again. And I'm going to go 0.5 down. 0.5. Enter. And why am I going 0.5? Because 0.5 plus 0.5 equals 1 inch, 0.5 plus 0.5 equals 1 inch, and we want a 1 inch square. So now I'm going to take my rectangle tool and watch this. Now I have guidelines at the end of my line, so I could click, drag around my shape that I created, and notice it snaps into place when you get close to the edge. And I'm going to click again, and I'm going to hit escape, and then I'm going to delete all my extra lines. Right click, delete, right click, delete, right click, delete, oops, right click, delete, right click, delete. Okay, so now I have my square, and look, it looks just like the picture except for one thing. The holes are just 2 dimensions right now. We need to make them 3-dimensional cuts all the way through the shape. So I'm going to pick my extrude button, and I am going to, the height of my object is 0.75. You don't really have to do this, but I want you to understand that when you cut something, it has to be cut through the entire length of the object. And I'm going to choose profile because I'm going to pick 2 profiles, the circle and the square. And then I'm going to choose my second object, which is cut. And if you notice, if you hover over the little buttons, it tells you what they're for. I'm going to click cut, and then I'm going to click this backwards direction because I want to cut all the way through. And then you have to be really careful. You don't want to just pick the face of the circle. Notice I didn't pick the face of the circle, so I'm going to hit cancel there. And I'm going to try that again. I'm going to extrude. I'm going to cut backwards to 0.75, and I have to make sure I pick the circle and pick the square. You have to pick them both at the same time. You can't do one and then the other so that they both go through. And there you have it. There is my beautiful pegboard toy in which I can put my pegboard, my pegs, my round peg and my square peg. So now you want to save your file. You're going to go to Pro, Save As, and you're going to choose your number. I'm going to choose my name. And I'm going to choose my documents, and I'm going to name this, according to the packet, Pegboard. Save. And then I have my 3 pieces all ready to go. Thank you for watching. This is Miss Gambino, your host.